Well, folks, we'll go ahead and get started today. Thank you again for joining us for our July Beyond the Fence Line call. I do want to start off with a few kind of notes. We've been a little busy here in the USCA world. June, we've traveled to South Dakota and Texas for some meetings. We were at the LMA convention along with the World Auctioneering contest as our president, Justin Tupper, was the host sale barn for that. So we went down and supported him and the family there, and it was a great event. Actually, our Vice President Winnie, who's on, was also participated as a judge, and Mike Simon, our board of director, who was our spotlight that week or that month. His son was also participating in that and ended up getting third overall. So congratulations to Mike and his son. It was a great time. And then we went straight down into Texas and was at the Independent Cattlemen's Association's annual meeting. Thank you, Cooper Little and his crew, for letting us have the opportunity to speak and have a booth there. Was really great connecting with our Texas members and then also gaining some new friends. Definitely been busy on that front. And if you haven't seen or been watching, we've been very active on our social media with not only everything that's going on and taking place in DC right now, but also doing a new campaign called Voice Behind the Beef. So definitely want to hear your guys' stories. So go on to social media, tag USCA, tell us a little bit about your guys' operations. Definitely want to hear and see everything. I'm like we kind of say, Montana, South Dakota based. So I only really see cattle from this area, and I like to see cattle. I know every operation is different, even just 15 miles down the road. So definitely like to see your guys' operation. So continue to like, share, but also keep comments, sending pictures, and just telling us a little bit about your operation and hashtag voice behind the beef. So we'll go ahead and get started today with our board of directors spotlight. And I have on our newest board member to the USCA team, Patrick Robinette. And he is our Region 11 director for, let's see, Virginia, West Virginia, and North Carolina. So, Patrick, why don't you start off and tell us a little bit about yourself and why you wanted to be a part of USCA?
Yeah. So we are producers here in North Carolina. We little bit of a unconventional story in that we took a Final Laws row crop farm and converted it over to a cattle operation when I moved to North Carolina in 2000. And then we took it another step further. In 2001, we started as we moved operation over to a direct to consumer model. And so today, we are still continuing that forward, and we have nationwide distribution and a couple of export uh, contracts that we do. And the reason why I joined the USCA is because it was back in COVID, in that USCA gave us an opportunity to have an independent voice in the national policy realm. And so um, I am chair of the Independent Processors Committee that started during COVID, and we really allowed to take the noise of the big boys out of the equation and get to the into what matters to us, the independence.
Perfect, perfect. Well, next here, Patrick, I got some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
Just a few here, but we'll get started with this one. A mistake you would warn your younger self about.
Say a mistake.
A mistake you would warn your younger self about.
Be careful about who you fall in love with. You might move to Pine Tops, North Carolina.
Um, and then what is the most overrated or underrated opportunity people keep pitching ranchers today?
Hmm. You know, the I know it's supposed to be rapid fire, but the most underrated is this carbon world that we live in. We're not taking credit for what we're already doing and capitalizing enough on that.
Perfect. And what is the best investment under $5,000 you have made?
Case of Pendleton.
I would still count that as a top notch according to Justin. If you didn't hear his was definitely a dump truck. So
So I was persistent and it took me 23 years and now I have it available in Eastern North Carolina. So yes,
there you go.
but I had to buy a case to get that.
What is one skill next generation ranchers need that nobody teaches? Sorry, it's a little early Thursday morning apparently on my end.
You know, the skill that we're missing is the skill of thinking out of the box. We're trying to do what our granddads did and our dads did, and the world is so much different. But but everybody is timid to go off into a direction that is untapped, and so we need to develop that skill set in how do you in a risky world, how do you take even more risk?
Mhm.
Perfect. And last one here for this morning is what's one thing you bet will be meaningfully different in 5 years?
Say that one more time.
What's one thing you'd bet will be meaningfully different in 5 years?
Um, I bet that it's going to be meaningfully different is going to be how we market our cattle and how we produce our cattle. It's going to be, I think radical changes are on the horizon. I think the consumer's waking up. Again, they woke up in COVID, then they went back to sleep. But with this lettuce situation, I think that they're asking a whole lot of questions and and it chips away and it gets us into uh, our own direct marketing lanes.
Mhm.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely love seeing on the comments here of trying to keep, beef local. People are looking, we have processors signing into our database and involvement there on the daily. So definitely it's something we love to see and get that small producers back up and running like it used to be. So
Mhm.
yeah. Well, thank you, Patrick, so much for joining us today. You're certainly welcome to stay on the call, but definitely appreciate your time and welcome to the USCA team. And we'll be around. Let's see. I think we'll be up in that area around September for some fly-ins and just some meetings. So we'll be get to see you in person here real soon. So. Uh, Before we get started on our next presentation, I just want to say that today's call is brought to us by Henry Repeating Arms, maker of the American Cattleman Tribute Edition rifle, and a proud supporter of the U.S. cattle producers. So thank you, Henry Repeating Arms, for bringing today's call. And we'll go ahead and get started with Gabe White, founder of Herd Advisor. I really did not have enough coffee this morning. So, Gabe, I'll kick things off to you. How about you start with telling us a little bit about yourself and what inspired you to come up with Herd Advisor?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Maggie. And Patrick, thanks for that. That was I enjoyed that rapid fire. I could listen to that for a while. So thanks for all that. Yeah, so a little bit about myself. I'm a lifetime rancher. I grew up on a small ranch and in Northwest Arkansas. So I'm an Arkansan and went to college. Started off in political science. Thought I'll go be a lawyer. I hated it. After a semester, I called my parents and said, "This is for the birds. You can't even walk out of the dorm room and just pee out your door," and which seemed like such a travesty to me at the time. And so my dad said, you probably should try it. Stay in this semester. You've got scholarships. Stay another semester. So I found poultry science. Loved it. Finished a degree in poultry science. Went on a master's in ag business, and then from there went into advertising. As soon as I got out of school, though, I loved the ranch, and I wanted to start building my own herd, putting my own place together, and started doing that. And so I've had my own operation now for a lot of years, and I'm been typically more what a lot of us would call a flashlight farmer. So had a job off the farm, came home to build fence and pull calves and all the things we do. I just love it. And so then as I built my operation, I always kept just handwritten records. And as I built my operation, that became somewhat untenable in number one, just keeping the records handwritten. Number two, keeping up with those. Like I'd have a notebook in a tractor, a notebook in a truck, and you know how it goes, a notebook on my desk at home. And so I couldn't refer to the records and I couldn't find what I was looking for. And then if I forgot to write something down, and so I went to tried the different softwares out there to try to keep records, and it was just difficult. And the reality is, if I'm out, I mean, my happy place is out either, on horseback with the cows or on a four-wheeler with the cow. I mean, I don't care. Put me on anywhere, but get me out there. And I don't want to pull out my phone and text myself or call and leave my wife a voicemail or type something in. And I just got frustrated and realized I just don't keep great records. None of us got into this for record keeping. And so um, I'd been a, I'd founded a software company in 2019 and had exited that business in 2023 and found myself sitting at home and able to spend a little more time on the ranch and focus. And I had a clipboard in front of me and a notebook in front of me. I was about to enter records, and I thought, I hate this. I do not want to enter records. And so thought there's got to be a better way. And that's what inspired Herd Advisor is sitting here and dreading having to get my records entered. But that's a little about me. I still live in Northwest Arkansas. It's beautiful country. Our cattle here have thinner blood than your cattle in Montana. We're Next week we're going to be out every day over 100 degrees, and that sounds just absolutely miserable, but so goes it, right?
Yeah, this weekend we're expecting 100 degrees as well.
Oh,
So we're not quite used to that normally. We get a big spurt, but not much. But yeah, so how about you tell us like a little on kind of what to expect with Herd Advisor and how us can get started on.
yeah, sure. Yeah, so the when Patrick mentioned this, that we often are running our operations like our grandparents did. And my grandparents, there were no records. And as I grew my operation, I realized that the difference in, profitability and not profitability was how well I could manage the herd and keep records. And I recognized that pretty early. And so with Herd Advisor, it is a complete record system for cattle. And but the couple of distinct advantages are, number one is it's offline first, so everything works offline from your phone. So we've got an app and a website. Everything works offline, which is really handy. Number two, you can have as many users. A lot of us have, family that help out on the ranch or farm. Our neighbors help out on our cattle, and we help out on their cattle, and so you can share all that information across. So a multi-owner type situation, which you can actually tag your cattle as multi-owner. So if you're running cattle with say your next generation, you can tag some as theirs and some as yours, and run reports in that way. And which is really handy. But the big thing for me is I just ride around with my phone in my pocket most days, and I'll just kind of show you real quick. I just leave records like this. I just say, "Hey Siri, cattle record with Herd Advisor." I hope my phone isn't. This is embarrassing when your phone doesn't work like it does every day. Let me make sure she can hear. Okay, so we still have phone. Hey Siri, cattle record with Herd Advisor.
Go ahead for Herd Advisor.
Cow number two had a calf yesterday. It was a bull. We castrated it, and it weighed 45 pounds.
Okay.
And so I never have to unlock my phone. that just went into the system. And that will be read by, so Siri doesn't know cattle exist. I think our friends at Apple think that we're an accounting firm. And so that'll actually be the transcript will probably say something like, your accounting customer number two did something, something, something. And so we have to, on our end, we interpret what Siri hears, which gets pretty interesting with accents and wind noise and all of that. We interpret what Siri says, and we've got a really nice model that does a great job of interpreting and listening. And I just got a email. You probably can see the there an alert saying, "Hey, we've got a cattle record for you." And so that goes through, it gets interpreted, it gets entered into the records, and really there are three kind of areas. You think about number one, keeping records. And for keeping records, I think our system is that whole area of being able to do it by voice. And I just pulled up the records here and we could, scroll through whatever is really a differentiator. So one is keeping records. And so I've got the best records I've ever had in my life because of this. The second is being able to find records. And so I think our app and our website's really easy to navigate through and find records. But we also have an AI component, a chat component that's trained on each producer's individual herd. So I'll go in like this year when I worked when I worked my ranch here where I lived, worked the cows here. I just went in and said, how many animals do I have at the home ranch? Break them down by cows, calves, steers, heifers, and it gave me the list. And then I went back to my fridge where I keep my medication. I said, here's what I've got on hand. What else do I need to buy? It put a shopping list together for me. I'll say, I'll ask a question. Remind me when I turned my bulls in last year around Thanksgiving. But so it's got a really nice chat interface to be able to get information out. Or you could put information in that way if you prefer to do, enter information through that interface, you could do that as well. And then the third thing is being able to actually make decisions. And so we've got a pretty nice reporting suite that helps make decisions. So I'll give you an example of some decisions. Or um, we think about calving windows and pretty often, well, if you keep up with your bull movements, then the system knows when a bull went in a pasture with cows. And so now we have when that bull gets moved in with cows or cows get moved into the bull, whatever the case may be, that opens an exposure window. If that bull moves out, that closes the exposure window. Or if you leave your bulls in year round, 45 days after the last calf is born, it opens an exposure window. 60 days after that, it'll close that exposure window. And all of a sudden we can alert and say, hey, wait a minute, these cows, they're either due now or over the next 60 days because that's their exposure window, or they're late. You may want to consider culling these. So I'll before I make a trip to the sale barn or start thinking about what I'm doing, I'll just go in the chat and say, which cows should I cull and why? And it'll go through the data and say, well, this cow's her calving window's been getting longer each year. This cow, she's getting old. This cow, you've had to trim her hooves. 2 of the last 3 years, you may want to consider culling her. Like it'll just start giving reasons for why. And so those three things are really important. Being able to keep good records, being able to get those records out in an efficient way, and then being able to make decisions on those records. And that's how we built Herd Advisors to be able to hopefully make it much, much more user friendly to do those three things. Because I think a lot are like me, and probably you just want to be out. You don't want to be sitting behind your desk trying to figure this stuff out. I don't anyway, and I kind of assume nobody else does either.
Yeah, sometimes even at the sale barn when they come out to fill out the shot record forms for their calves or even their bred cattle, it's almost painful trying to see them. When did we do
Yeah,
this again? So this sounds like a great opportunity for
yeah,
when producers come into the sale barn and they're trying to get all their records and shots because
yes,
a lot of our buyers on the other end, they want them and they want
yeah.
to see that trace. So
Yeah, and Maggie,
so
we've got a really nice catalog builder in there. So we've got a lot of folks that are maybe they're registered, and I think that's probably used most by register, where you can add animals to a catalog or take them away, and everything comes through. You get to select what you want. Like if you want the pictures, that comes through. If you want the treatment history, that comes through. If you want notes history, that comes through, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if you want the whole generational lineage, all that comes through, but you can create a catalog and then either send a link to the catalog or send a PDF to the catalog. And then is like a lot of our registered guys, they'll put here's our bull catalog. And then as you sell those bulls, it'll just take them away. And so that catalog auto adjusts for which ones have been sold and all that. But it's a really nice feature. To your point, like being able to get the records out, like at the sale barn, because I do the same thing. I keep the one of my lists and one of the receipts for the medication that for the group that's going here pretty soon. So we all kind of operate the same way, but having it at the ready is so handy, whether it's because you need it on their form or whether you're selling the neighbors down the road or marketing in that way. It's really a pretty handy thing.
It's perfect. Sorry, my mute button wasn't working quite there. Let's see. Are there any questions from the group so far? Or if not, I'll keep kind of asking. So I did hear that it could have multiple users, and with my family's operation, we also have crew that we hire on. So with that ability, with do they have their own like sign in and login, or is it the same sign in and login for every user, or how does that look
Yeah,
for?
sure. So it is I mean, you may find areas we can make it better, and if so, please tell me because that's the goal. We've tried to make this really easy. So you can be a farm, you can set up as farm owners, and you can set up as members. And the owners can make decisions that members can't, like add farms, add pastures, that kind of thing. But members can, log treatments, log movements, log calving. It's all those types of things in terms of who has that have an account, if you can have an account that then you have your family members under, your farm workers under. If they have an account, if they're like, let's say you're running your own operation and let's say your parents have their own operation and you want your own account and they want their own account so you can keep your P&L separate and all that, you can do that and just invite each other as members. If you are running like your farm people underneath, they don't have to have an account. You just add them in as a member. It'll send them an email. Here's a sign in, and they'll be just running off of your account. And so it really works kind of for both things. So I've got one of my neighbors. We watch each other's cattle for each other. He's got an account. I've got an account. We share information, but then my family is also set up under my account. They don't pay anything. They're just set up under there. And so we've tried to make it pretty flexible in that way, and a little bit of honor system. I mean, I guess technically we could, have a person and then everyone have their animals under that person in America. But I mean, as ranchers, there may be some of that slippage where people aren't quite honest like that. But by and large, we're pretty good, trustworthy folk, and so we try to make it pretty easy that way.
Yeah, perfect. Patrick, do you have a question?
Couple questions. One is, what's the cost per head? Two
Yep.
is who owns the data?
Mhm.
So when you upload the data, who has access, who owns that data? So if I, stop using your program to does that data come back to me or does it disappear? Three is the next question is, does it integrate with accounting programs like QuickBooks to where you mentioned your P&Ls, like does this data go, does it allow for you to deal with your account records? And then the last question is it just on the live animal or can you track all the way down to, like if you were a direct to consumer, can you track it all the way to yields and yield and grades?
Got it.
Sorry.
Okay. Your first, I got all those except the first one. By the time I started writing it down, I'd already lost the first. The first question
Okay.
was,
The first one's important. How much does it
oh yeah,
cost?
yeah, yeah, yeah. That is important on both
That's the
ends.
most important.
That's right. That's right. We've got Patrick. We have three different tiers. We've got a records only, but that's $14 a month, and there's not a. We don't charge on based on number of heads. So we've got producers with several thousand, and we've got producers with just a few animals. We've got a couple of feed yards. I hate that model. I always found I was bumping up against the next one, and I couldn't enter records when I actually needed to because I kept getting the thing of you've run out of your XYZ, and it
Mhm.
just is anyway. So 14 ahead for I'm sorry, 14 a month for records only, and that includes the voice piece. Add $4 a month, so 18 a month total to do the cattle records. Plus, we have a really nice forecasting piece that I'll just spend 30 seconds on. We pull data for every sale barn in America that reports through USDA, plus a lot that don't. And if we don't happen to have coverage in your area, then that's a easy contact in, and we'll see if we can get that information. And then we forecast and we pull, we've got 285 different data points each week. Well, that's not quite true, but 285 different data points because like cattle inventory doesn't come out each week. But we'll do weather around each sale barn, national patterns, retail prices, import, export, the entirety of the supply chain. And we forecast out, here's my decision set. I'll sit there and I'll think, should I work cows and pull them off this week and sell them? Or should I wait? I've usually got a window like May is my window. And so I'll look at the forecast. We've got a short-term forecast that is every sale barn, and it'll say, here's what you could probably get this week, and here's what you can get 3 weeks from now, and et cetera. And you should keep them on pasture, or you should put them on feed, for that time. And I'll think, should I keep them for, in my world, a season? So we've got a 12 week out and then a 20 week out. So right now, I just looked yesterday, day before maybe, and if I keep my calves today, if I sell them today, if I keep them 12 weeks, even with the growth, I should expect to get like $20 less than if I sell them today. If I keep them 20 weeks, I can add, gosh, I don't remember what it was 200-300 bucks a head. So it helps makes that when and where to sell decision. So that's $18 a month to add that forecasting
Mhm.
piece in. Then $29 a month adds the AI component. That's on our end, a fairly costly component, and that's where you can chat in and out. And where I find more people using that tends to be the husband and wife team. One of my favorite stories, we've got one of my favorite, Rick and Susan. Susan called after we launched AI. She's like, "This is amazing. I get so many calls every day. Hey, Suze, where do we put that bull 367? Hey, Suze, who do we sell? Who do we buy this group of heifers? Hey, Suze." And she's like, "I just go to the AI thing, type in whatever he says, answers there. I don't have to look anything up." So that's 29 a month, is to add that in. Okay, it's cost. Second thing, who owns the data? We've got all kinds of export functionality. You can export into CSV, Excel, PDF, a lot of things PDF, not everything, because some data tables aren't, and you could export that anytime. Including, we have, of course, we've had users that maybe their account has lapsed or whatever. We keep a record of it. And they email and say, "Hey, can I just get my record?" Sure. How do you want it? We'll forward it over. It's no problem. And we also have to get data in. We have a really nice import if you have spreadsheets to get it in, nice bulk import. Additionally, we work through, I don't know how many every day. I've got one going right now. Somebody emailed said, "Hey, I'm not technically savvy. I've got records in this other program. How do I just send us the spreadsheets? We'll put them in for you." It's super easy. It takes no time. Anyway, owning data, we house the data, but you can get it out anytime. The third thing, QuickBooks integration. My eyes aren't what they used to be. Is we don't have an API into QuickBooks. We'll launch it. We do once a month. We have what we call a herd huddle, and we invite all users to join a call, and we go through new features. And we've got some accounting pieces that are launching on the
Okay.
August 4 call. And there are a few things with this. My whole part of the reason for this, when I got started, it was hard. It's hard to get started. Buying a
Mhm.
tractor it's crazy.
Mhm.
Buying land is crazy. And so what we're doing with this is the accounting piece, P&L, not balance sheet yet, but we're also bringing in like click a button. Here's what you could do LRP right now, that sort of thing. And so it's an
Okay.
easy LRP worksheet that's based off your data, but no API into QuickBooks today. Next, you asked about live animals. So a couple of things on non-live animals. One is we do keep generational history as far back as you want it or as far forward as you want it. And so if you want to, we've got folks that have their generations back into the 60s, but that's not the crux of your question. The crux of your question is yields and grade, which we don't have today. We don't follow through to the rail today.
Right.
What we do today is we've got a really nice, we'll get there. It'll be there. But what we do today is if you, let's say you sell through the sale barn, you're going to know, or through anybody else, if you'll just enter the sale information you have, dollars and weights, and you probably know, like let's say you sell a group and you've got, I don't know, 22 steers and on the heavy end, and you sold a pot load and they happen to be 22 on the heavy end and 25 on the lighter, and you kind of know which cows was with. If you'll just try to over a couple of sales cycles, the system will learn with pretty decent accuracy. Hey, this cow tends to sell at the higher end based on gender, based on days of age days, and it will index. And you can, and it's an easy one button click of which cows tend to sell on the upper end, which cows tend to sell on the lower end, and it'll index that for you and say, on average, this cow, she's had three calves, and as best we could tell, it looks like they're getting about 11% less than average. This cow, she's getting about 16% more. So you can start to make decisions that aren't necessarily readily available if you're not keeping up with the records well. We'll get to follow through to the rail, but that's probably more of a Q4 this year to get there.
And so I'll leave you with this. My daughter had to jump off, but she could contest that my records before PDA came out, my records were back of Copenhagen cans. And I had a filing cabinet full of Copenhagen cans that when they cleaned out one, they did a clean in my office one day. So that was my record keeping system back in the early days.
That's
So,
so, Patrick, what got me, I was sitting, it was a rainy day, and I was literally sitting right here, and I had a notebook out of my truck, one out of one of my tractors, and I still keep it on my desk, this stupid clipboard. And the
mm-hmm,
page I had up on the clipboard, a cow who had stepped on it, and this part of the page was torn off. So I lost
mm-hmm,
all that. I'm like, this
yep.
is the birds. This is terrible. I hate this. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's funny.
My son took over the ranch truck that I had when he turned 16, and they were digging, like I said, underneath the seats was digging out. There was Copenhagen cans with writing on it. So that was my record keeping system in back in the day. So
Yeah, and you may have kept great records, but hard to refer back to. Yeah, yeah. Which
yeah.
I find one of the things I hate and is I'll find the issue, back in the day where I would go through and I'd be like, okay, here's how to make decisions. I might have a cow. I know she's a fall calver. She doesn't have a calf, and I'll think that's a really good cow. I'm gonna roll her into the spring and see what happens. So I'll roll her into the spring. And then let's say I get another year down the road and she didn't have a calf, and I'm like, okay, was that the one I rolled into the spring, or is that not the one I rolled into spring? And it seemed like my decisions went back to, is she a good looking cow? Can the kids feed range cubes to her? The things that have no bearing on profitability.
Right.
And so you got the Copenhagen cans. I get it because I've kind of been there, but you can't. It's hard to make those decisions based off the Copenhagen cans. Yeah.
These decisions are tough. And when you got
Yeah.
emotion in the middle of it, that cow just looked really good. I really hate. But no, I mean you've got to get into some nastiness in order for profitability.
That's
But I
right.
appreciate your answering
Yeah.
my questions.
Yeah. Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, hey Gabe, Jess Peterson here. Great presentation. Really, really impressive across the board. All of your products. I think it's what we find now in anything, right? It's like not information overload, but potential productivity. Like, how do you fully utilize it? Are you? And I was scrolling on the website and like
Yeah.
all the specs. Are you able to show your screen on the Zoom of kind of what I couldn't quite see the operating platform. What are we looking at? Is it your platform or does it go to the spreadsheet? Yeah, thank you.
No, it's my platform, and so I think you can see my screen now.
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so let me just a couple of things here. First off, I'll show you maybe two screens. I'll try to make this quick because I think Maggie, you're gonna fire me for talking too long if we're not careful. But Jess, anytime if you want to reach out, we'll set a Zoom call and we'll go through
Okay,
as much details you want. I'd be happy to. The animal screen, the quick, so farms, you can have as many farms as you want, as many animals as you want. You can quickly get those down to adults, cows, bulls, etc. You can set the columns, rearrange the columns, all of that, and you can export all of this. So all the animals are here. Something that people will want to know if you're running like stockers, when you add an animal, you can either add single or you can add in bulk, like ear tag number 200 to 250. If you're adding animals and if you do bulk, then the selection set changes a little bit. Let's grab here's a test cow. We'll grab her.
Are you able to sync? Sorry, just are you, yeah. So thank you. We got stalkers, we got EIDs. So are you able to sync
Yep.
like if you have a scanned list of
Yes.
EIDs?
Yep. Yeah. You can sync all that, and you can turn your EID. Jess, this is an area that if you choose to use, I'd love some advice on. You can turn on in your account settings like we use EID. So there are a few things like embryo and semen inventory. That's a setting you turn on or off. Not a lot of people keep AI and semen or embryo and semen inventory, so you turn that on. EID scanner is another setting you turn on. There's no extra charge for it. It just keeps the user interface clean. Right now, if you're shoot side and you use your EID and it's synced up, it pulls up that
Yeah.
animal. So it'll pull up like the animal. Let me find one that may have a. I was just looking at this girl. I'm about to call her. Um, Okay, so it'll pull up this animal detail page today, and then you can, create a record or edit whatever with this particular animal. So the EID interface pulls up the animal, but which is helpful, but not full functionality. In terms of syncing, if you when you get your spreadsheet out of like your scale, that's a easy bulk import. It'll attach all that information over to each animal, and it's done. So all your EID info is there.
Okay. Thank you. And so that's the platform. And then sorry, and then so you have the Siri function, and then is there an app function too that you can
Correct.
just start? Okay,
Yeah.
so you can do either one of them, and then I guess you could go in and still manually insert it. So
Oh yeah.
you've got basically so walk me through voiceover
Yep.
uh, and voiceover, and then that syncs with different operators. So if you have this outfit over here, we all just have one subscription, and basically five people can be talking into it.
Correct. So the way the rules work on that is it's intended to be offline first. So we design everything offline first. Does it
Yeah.
work offline? Now Siri doesn't work offline. So there and Hey Google doesn't work offline. So there's that. But if you enter on your phone offline first, and on the phone you can still do voice if you're offline. You hit the little microphone button and it'll pull up a voice thing and it'll record and save it until you get back online. So you can still do voice, but you just have to open it up. Anyway, offline first, and then it goes based on last entered. So if you say, this cow had a calf today, and someone says they had a calf yesterday, the yesterday will override today if it's the last entered. But everyone can do voice. It's all the same account, and it all syncs back up. I do probably 90% plus of my records via voice. What I don't do via voice, and I could, actually, there's a nice little table here in the helping tutorials on what can be done voice, single animal, multiple animals like 708, 711, et cetera, et cetera. Animal group, like I did this thing to the bred heifers, animals at location. I did, I don't know, side decked and pour onto all the cows in the hay meadow, whatever. So there's a nice little voice thing here. I do 90% of my records by voice. What I still don't do by voice, I could, but I don't, is when I work a farm, I'll grab the farm. So I work my home ranch and let's go animals on a home ranch. So I work home ranch. I'll just grab all the animals and do a bulk edit. And I'll say for my calves, I did an action, whatever it is. Then my adult cows, I did a different action, add an action. I'll just put those in. It takes about 30 seconds and it'll apply to everything. But like obviously my bull calves, let's say, well, I don't have any bull calves on this ranch. I'll castrate those. I'm not going to castrate my heifers, obviously. That'd be kind of amazing. So you can kind of select subgroups within a ranch and do a bulk edit really fast. I'll still do that manually. Typically, I'll just after I get finished with the shoot, I'll just throw it all in.
And then sorry, just one more.
Yep.
And then if you so it's tough, right? So sometimes we want to do the you just want to do like the like treatment day, vaccination day. You don't want to say we did all 400 in one day. We'll just say like this is the day we did this set of shots. You can still have like a data input because
Oh
for
yeah.
us it comes down to like what we were doing, like that snapshot in time, right?
Yeah.
In addition to, yeah, yes, if they were work that day, they all got that shot. I don't need to put that in with all of them. So where's just kind of like your
Yeah.
maybe your herd management piece.
Yep. Two things. Number one is if you
Lord.
have like if you're running your scale and you want to import records, you can import right here different kinds of records and just drag your spreadsheet in. It'll auto import attached animals. Number two is let's just say this one here, 72 purple. I just need to give her a treatment, and I gave her Virus Shield 5. Um, 5 cc's. I did it sub Q. You can still enter all that and it'll auto calculate withdrawal period. If it needs a
Okay.
medication with a booster, it'll auto calculate the booster date and then set a reminder for you. So you can still do individual animals or groups of animals.
You can, so I don't have to say all because I wouldn't want to, like, if we're running, that many three, we don't want to put, every tag. Oftentimes, I think it's a medical, like a special treatment, right? If we said, well, we had to give an antibiotic, but if we're just giving vaccines and whatnot, we just want to know on this day we did this many shots, that type of stuff.
Yep,
So
yep.
you
So
can just do a here. Okay, all right.
now what I'll
I
do
think
is
it's
just a
go
couple things. I'll run. Let's just go back to this home ranch for a second. On my home ranch, what I'll do is let's say I'm driving around the truck and I've got my dart gun and I dart one. I'll just
yeah,
pass that in. That's
yeah.
easy. Or let's say I'm in a pasture and I want to this middle field. I did a thing to all the middle field, and maybe I just did the adults on the middle field. I'll just grab middle field, adults, hit them, and I'll do a
Okay.
bulk edit.
Very helpful. And I don't want so I love it. I'll be in touch. We really like it. Who writes your market? That was a great market report you're doing it, and that's great. Who writes that? It's really good.
Well, I appreciate it. Jess, I said this is I set it up and AI writes it every day. Isn't that crazy?
I love it. No, awesome. That's off to you. No, I mean it is actually like I was looking. I was like, this is phenomenal commentary. That is
Yeah.
beautiful. Alrighty. So
Thank you. It's
so
and
AI or Corbett Wall. So we'll just kind of go back and forth here. We'll play against one
well,
another, Patrick.
Corbett's a nicer individual than AI, but
Really, I
well, I
I
don't know
have
about
not heard. Really, so there are times where I would probably pick an AI personality. I hope Corbett's watching. I'm
all
kidding.
There you go.
I,
There you go.
I got two more questions, comments. So AI has written every damn argument I've had with my wife in the last 9 months. So like AI is a wonderful writer. I haven't argued with her. AI writes me out a text and then sends it off. The pasture feature, what are you monitoring on? What was somebody able to monitor on the pastures?
Yeah.
Because I saw that on your screen.
Yep.
So what data are we able to collect? And then you mentioned you're doing EID
Yep.
interface. Are you able to do the virtual? We're starting to play with the virtual fencing stuff.
No,
Are we able to then, are we able to like monitor grazing days,
yeah. Yeah.
where to grazing, and then be able to interface that with weight gains and stuff?
Yep. So not yet on that. We're actually working on that right behind the financial suite.
Okay.
And in terms of integration, as you know, on the fenceless, that there are several different. So we're working with a couple of them to integrate, and then we have the infrastructure there so as others become where there's API access and we can share reports. So that's the thing that it's in process, but early until after the financial piece rolls out next month. And then typically, Patrick, what we do is we'll roll something out, we'll let it sit there for some time. We've already got financial piece rolled out to users, and they're in beta testing right now. And so ideally they catch any bug that's out there, but the reality is that we'll let it bake for a little bit. I don't know that we'll get the fencing rolled out for the September release. We'll see how that goes, but that's our goal right now.
So
Okay.
what data are we collecting on the
Yep. Yep.
pastures?
Pasture reports today. Pasture reports are really, really thin. In
Okay.
fact, we even have pasture reports turned on here right now because we are capturing some things in pastures in the back end, but not exposing yet around. We've got a day's graze, but that's not always fair because it may be that you're grazing them with stalkers, which is very different than grazing with mama cows. So we're trying to get to a more accurate, like pounds, excuse me, a better indicator of pounds per day of grazing. And also, then for we've got some folks that are really up to speed on weights, on weighing their calves. And so trying to get to daily gain to pasture. But we've got so few people that are tied in on weights that that's the data is very, very sparse. And so, but
Okay.
that day's grazed and so it's actually like a pounds um, per acre day. So on all
Okay.
your farms, when you set up a pasture, you put the acres in, so it's a pounds per acre day. So we're trying to get to that. We all know I've got one of my farms now. It'll flat grow calves. I mean, it just grows calves, and then like where I live here, it grows them mediocre. It's just and why, you do all the soil testing, you try to figure it out. It just is, and we all kind of know this a little bit in our head, but when you start to see the data of what really comes off those places, it's all of a sudden like, holy smokes, I got a
Mhm.
I've got a problem. Or look at me, one of the two. So yeah,
Thank
pasture
you.
reporting is our cow reporting, calf reporting, bull reporting is really, really good. And on bull reporting, like as an example, I used to sell pretty much off the cow, like a 5.5 weight somewhere in there. And then I changed my operation, and I've got more grass than animals now, and so I typically sell in that 650 to 700 pound range. My bull selection is very, very different. I used to care how fast can I get to 500, 550. That doesn't matter as much anymore. I care how fast can I get to 700, and that so changes. And so we've got really nice reporting in the both bulls and cows on things like that.
I know we've talked a little bit about it, but what are you most excited about the new features and improvements that you guys are making there at Herd
Yeah,
Advisor?
Maggie, all of this has been adding up to how do we make money? I mean, I was talking about being in the hayfield. I mean, when I was a kid, you could buy all your hay equipment for like $14.95. It's unbelievable what things cost now. Making money, paying for your land, making money is really hard. And so getting the financial reporting, I'm really excited about that coming in. But all of these pieces on making money and what you see on our end is first, you have to have good records in, and that's what we started with. But that decision making criteria, I like our reports pieces. It's decision making criteria, but what I really like is being able to go to AI. Like when I worked, I mentioned I worked cows not too long ago here at the home ranch, and I just went in and I did the medication piece. Then I said, "Hey, what cow should I cull and why?" And it said, here's some suggestions.
Mhm.
I mean, and so for me, it's like I want to be able to get, if I can just get 50% of the way there to a good recommendation, amazing. That's 50% I didn't have to do. Now, if I can get 80% of the way there, because that human intuition is so critical. We drive through our pastures, we know that's a good cow. She may be 132 years old, but she's reliable. She throws a good calf. She's an easy keeper. That's a
Yeah.
good cow. And
Mhm.
and so that human intuition, what we do is really, really, really important and will be important. But being able to supplement and bring in and make good decisions, that's what I'm really excited about. And good decisions based on finance. When I was started out, I made decisions based on when people drive by, I want them to look and say, "Man, now that guy's got some nice cows." That's interesting, and I still like a good looking cow, but I really want to make money.
Mhm. So I have a few more here for you
Yeah.
and kind of go to any others that may still have some questions, but where do you see the digital record keeping heading in the next few years? I know you're not the first one and you're
Right.
definitely probably won't be the last, but
Yeah.
how do you expect your guys to stay kind of on top of the market there?
Yeah, I think it really comes down to usability. I mean, there are some really good record keeping softwares out there and digital record keeping that is good, but it's not necessarily easy. And I think that there's a reliability that has to be there, and that's been covered off a long time ago. There's a accuracy that has to be there. That's been covered off a long time ago, not just by us, by a lot of folks. Getting records in and making decisions on getting records out, super important. And especially, unfortunately, I don't see us from a regulatory environment going backward. I see us, moving more toward like a European type model where record keeping becomes somewhat of a requirement.
Mhm.
In our system, you really need an animal ID, and that's about it. Everything else is optional. You go to some other systems and you have to include everything down to like how many hairs are hanging off their tail and that sort of thing because that regulatory environment and I hate it, but that may be, a piece of where we're going. Even just this, I mean, that this is, keeping up for the treatment record. It's a good thing, but keeping up, that's in my lifetime, a relatively new thing. That was something that was never considered, when I was a kid at a sale barn. So
Mhm.
I think it's going to become, instead of a nice to have and make good decisions, it's going to be somewhat of a must have, from that side, but also profitability. We've just got to keep pushing on this to make sure we're running our operations profitably.
And one last question for you, just some closing thoughts is if there's one thing you'd like producers to take away from today's conversation, what would it be?
You know, there's here's a call I get fairly often, and it's surprising I get this fairly often. And it'll be an old cracked voice on the phone, and it'll say, "Hey, my name's J Dub, and I'm in wherever. I have no records. I'm 75 years old. I'm gonna die at some point, and my kids have no idea what's going on." The first time I got it, I thought, well, this is crazy. And I get that call fairly often. And I think it is, we're keeping records and we have records for our own use. But then also, I mean, I really hope my kids say, I like that lifestyle like I did. I want to continue forward.
Mhm.
If we can't pass a profitable operation on, that then can build off of that profitability and the new ways of working. And Patrick said earlier that we have to be creative and imaginative in how we think about making money. I really hope that this helps people get in, helps them be profitable, and helps them pass it on.
Perfect. It- Any other questions from the crew here? All right, I have a coughing attack there. Well, thank you again, Gabe, and thank you, Patrick, so much. Great conversations today. Definitely love hearing about what technology is out there in the world and how we can't make operations successful and just kind of keep going in today's world. Really do appreciate it. These are recorded, and I will have it on our YouTube and Facebook or website here by the end of the week. So thank you guys. Share this around to your guys' family members and make sure you guys stay active on our social media and things like that. So have a great rest of your week and stay cool in all the areas you're at.
Maggie,
Thank you, Gabe. That was a great presentation. We'll be in touch. Thank you.
Thank you. Sounds good, Jess. Have a great day.
Yeah.